Fiber optics and technology have revolutionized the way the world communicates, accesses information, and transmits data. Now, fiber optic technology uses thin glass or plastic fibers to transmit data as light signals, enabling faster, more reliable, and higher capacity communication. Its advantages are numerous, from a much higher bandwidth than traditional copper cables, allowing for faster data transfer rates, to less susceptible to interference and signal degradation, now ensuring clearer and more reliable connections. Finally, fiber optic cables are thinner and lighter, making them easier to install and maintain. Well, Mr. Oluyemi Oluwadimu is a senior management technology expert, and he joins us now to discuss cybersecurity and the workings of fiber optics in technology. It's good to have you here on Newsday on Arise News.
Nice meeting you, madam.
Thank you for joining us.
It's a pleasure to be here
Thank
today.
you for being here. Now, when we take a look at the deployment of fiber optic technology that we're seeing growing rapidly in Nigeria, particularly in urban areas, how does this expansion impact the overall cybersecurity landscape in the country? And what steps will I say? I mean, I know we can't go into all of it, but what would you say maybe the top 3 things that we need to do to ensure that as we increase our connectivity, we are doing so securely?
Thanks. Actually, based on my expertise, I think we still have more to do about the distribution of fiber optics within the state, across the country. And companies like Me1, MTN has done a great job bringing in the dark fiber into the country. But we still need to have distribution of fiber within the state and also within the city and the community. And first of all, what we need to do is to engage the government, the state especially, and the local government, which is the city, in order to educate the community and to make sure that this fiber optics is well distributed. Then the second thing is having good engineering practice in terms of designing the fiber optics itself. Right, there are various fiber optic types you can do. There's a area fiber, underground fiber. You can do fiber train the fiber under the ground and through the manhole to lay out all your distribution within the country. Then also in your design, we need to adopt what we call a fiber optics ring or hybrid design in order to provide resiliency and also redundancy on the fiber communication. We all know that fiber provide a high gig data bit transmission, and to take advantage of that, we need to have a very good design to implement this. Then also in terms of support is a weakness of us in Nigeria, but we have to adopt a good support after commissioning of these fiber optics. We have the monitoring systems, we have design systems, like we have IGQ, GIS tools to do your fiber plan within the city and get it done.
All right,
so,
a lot of technical terminologies there that I know that the layman out there is wondering, what are we talking about? But talking about cybersecurity in Nigeria, we know that we still have a long way to go. In fact, there is a report here that says that there was a sharp rise in cyber attacks in Nigeria, and the country ranked 19th on the global ranking for attacks as of July. What do you think we're not doing right? What are the steps that we should take when you go for any registration or any, you want to open a bank account, all your details are taken. We have NIN registration, you have BVN registration, a lot of registrations. Our details are out there, but we still rank top, when it comes to cyber attacks.
Yeah. What happened in this case is when you build an infrastructure, there is an application that runs on the infrastructure. And one of it is the software base. The software is not robust enough, and there is not enough security measures that is being adopted here on the infrastructure in order to manage the user information on the banking system, for example, the access, and also the storage of the information is very important too. Okay, so then banking system or any industrial system in Nigeria, we need to do more about enhancing the software application we are running on this infrastructure. and adopting what we call, for example, there is something we call a firewall. There must be an adequate, reliable firewall that's being implemented on your network design. There is a global design within the same, but the company who is providing Cybermore have a robust design that's been, that's been secured with this under the fiber optics and also the security system like the firewall system. Once that is adopted, then we should have a lesser problem.
Okay, I want us to talk. I mean, fiber optics is often discussed in the context of high-speed internet and data transmission. So I kind of have two quick questions for you. Can you shed a light on the role of fiber optics when we talk about critical infrastructure, such as financial services, government operations, things that are like tied down to the actual running of this great country, and the importance of securing? I mean, you touched on the importance of securing them against threats, but the critical infrastructure, and then on the other end, the vandalization of these fiber optics, because that is something that has come up a number of times. What specific solutions would you recommend to address this issue, especially fiber optics that are in areas that are prone to such disruptions?
Yeah, we can. There is a lot of way we can address this. For example, when we have the fiber optics being designed in a proper way, adopting the good engineering practice, and also you engage the community, you educate them, then under the engineering practice, then there's a standard for all these fiber optics adopted. So then there is a selection of the products that you're going to adopt there. When all this is done properly, right, you should not have any problem. So in terms of vandalization, we need to run, in terms of planning and distribution, we need to run our fiber under the manhole so that it will secure, or you trench it down into the ground. Then there are some, in terms of cable selection, you need to select the appropriate cable selection that will be difficult for vandalization. Then in Nigeria now, we have a road network. Why not take advantage of the road network to lay your fiber optics for deployment?
Why do you think that's still an issue? Because I mean, you saying it now seems pretty straightforward. Adopt these lines that are let's say, are kind of hard to be able to vandalize and follow the road network. So what do you think is causing that disconnect?
The causing that disconnect is that the proper engineering practice is not adopted. Whoever that designing is not well educated enough to adopt the proper cabling, fiber optic cabling that will be deployed.
Not educated enough doesn't mean that we're not employing the right people? Or?
It might be that you are not employing the right people, but you have to do more research when you are doing design to select the appropriate cable for your deployment. For example, within the city, if you think that you cannot lay fiber optic under the ground, you can do area fiber. And if you want to do interstate connections, use the existing road map, the right of way. Like we have all the roads that connect the interstates, right? Use that to lay your fiber optics, and wherever during your site survey, when you see that, this is prone to, it's going to have a security defect or whatever that's going to affect that, make sure that the fiber you're going to use is mechanized, is well concrete, is well laid, and you adopt a manhole in that area so that it will not be vandalized.
But when you look at the use of internet in Nigeria, we know that it goes way beyond the banking sector or the business sector. It practically runs every area of our life. In fact, we're having this conversation and we're, surfing the internet and all of that. So it's very critical to our daily living. So one concern is the fact that when it comes to data collation in Nigeria, there's that skepticism when it comes to the security of our data out there. In fact, recently there was a report saying that there was a breach of the protection of our data and all of that. And the question is, what exactly should the government be doing, especially when it comes to protecting the data of the average Nigerian? We've seen cases where you have your bank account details hacked, a lot of bank users talking about their bank accounts being hacked and all of that. what exactly should the government be doing, or who are the stakeholders that should be responsible? I know there's a Data Protection Act.
Yes.
What exactly should we be doing in that regard?
There is an NCC in Nigeria that regulates and governs every information system. Those are the people that's going to adopt a policy, write out a policy that all the private company, telecom company, IT company will adopt to implement their services. It is the responsibility of the telecom services, IT companies, to actually protect client data. There are some data centers in Nigeria that needs to be enhanced, and there must be SLA between the data center and also the IT company providing services for the masses. So under the SLA, then that they must implement what we call the data encryption, data policy in order to secure all the information of the client. That has to be done properly. When that is done, then on
the sorry to button, the fact that you keep making futuristic statements, that has to be done, that should be done. What exactly is wrong? Why are they not being done?
Well, we have to review everything. That is why I mentioned a proper engineering practice. When you wanted to build an infrastructure, look everything from end to end, right? From the policy, from the requirement to infrastructure, your design, then managing your design after implementation, then your software you're going to run on this application must be managed. And how would you secure it? There's a lot of cybersecurity breach out there. How would you manage that? How will you prevent that? And there are two ways to do that. By policy, writing a policy to protect data on the cybersecurity system.
Is that what the Act should do?
No, the Act is different.
Okay.
There are rules.
So are you saying we don't have those rules?
There are rules. It might be a weaker rules.
So
it might be that the device itself is not sufficient enough that can manage such data informations. Then also on the data center, on your server or your storage, you need to make sure that is secured.
Okay, let's switch it up a bit, because I mean we've kind of spoken about these institutions and kind of like the strength of these institutions and how they've been able to curb cybersecurity and even like how effective fiber optics is for us. But if we switch it around and look at the fact that cybersecurity in itself is not just about technology but also about the people, do you think that there are being enough efforts made to increase, cybersecurity awareness among the Nigerian public, especially in combating phishing and social engineering attacks? Just a couple of days ago, one of the more popular banks in Nigeria, I'm sure you must have had a phishing problem, and you're aware of what happened. So in scenarios like that, where the responsibility, the onus also lies on, on the citizens, do you think enough is being done to make them aware of, what could possibly happen?
It's a continuous effort. We have to educate our people on all the cyber attack. What are the possibilities? What are the measures that you need to do? What are the things you don't have to do? So it's continuous effort. We got to preach that to the client, to the people, right? So, and we have to do more. That is one. Then another thing is, on the telco service, on the IT service, has to do what we call modernization of their infrastructure. It's a continuous effort. It's not that you build a network and you leave it to run for years. You have to modernize. You have to look
because I was going to say that, these hackers and scammers also evolve on a daily basis on the techniques and methodologies that they use in scamming and attacking, or hacking people's data site. And so individuals, businesses also have to upgrade. They have to also evolve the ways they protect their data. But what are some of the institutions that you think are in place or that should be in place to help achieve this? Because, of course, many of these IT professionals, you also mentioned earlier that some of them do not even have the necessary maybe technical know-how or engineering skills to ensure that they bring their systems up to speed with the contemporary and recent evolving technology. What institutions do you think should be in place to ensure this?
NCC is supposed to govern that, supposed to manage that, and release that policy to the telco services and also to the IT company. IT company is their responsibility to protect the client. And how do you do that? You do that, you must get enough resources like manpower, educate them, send them for trainings, send them to training, do researches, and also engage them in modernizing your network periodically.
All right.
So,
no, please go ahead. Go ahead.
Periodically, because there are different scenarios that is happening out there in terms of cyber attacks. So you need to also be ahead of the game.
I mean, before we let you go, I was just wondering if you could, I mean, we're looking at the different ministries, but if we look at Dr. Bosun Tijani, who, of course, oversees that particular ministry, how would you score him so far? Do you think that they've made a lot of progress in some of the policies that have kind of like involved Infotech and cybersecurity?
Well, the policy is good, right? But adopting the policy is what we are talking about. You might have a good policy, but when you adopt it, implement it in a very right way, and you manage it, that is when you get the result.
Oh, well, we'll just have to leave the conversation there. Thank you so much for sharing your thoughts on this issue of Infotech and cybersecurity. We've been speaking with Oluyemi Oluwadimu, Senior Level Telecommunication Engineering and Management. Thank you for your time.